To share with you the homily that Kimberly wrote. So when I say I, just imagine that I'm Kimberly. We live in a Christian culture. The way I became sure of this was last year as I nannied 2 children from Israel. They did not understand our holidays, the customs surrounding secular holidays, or the traditions of the Easter egg hunts. They had lots of questions. It was fun teaching them as each holiday rolled around. They knew I welcomed their questions, and I shared with them the new wonder I found from seeing things from their perspective, a secular Jewish understanding of what is tradition. In Moore's book on Jesus, or Joshua before he became Christ, Moore takes a poke at the divinity of a sacred person. He shows us a human side of the divine and fills in the biblical narrative from a sinner and a friend of Jesus' perspective. Moore shows us a divine boy who is unsure of his place in the world, a friend who is not perfect, but who is still a good friend, and relationships that are relatable, funny, and dark in all their humanness. It is the kind of religious stories that leave room for doubt and curiosity. It is the kind of religiousness that I think we, as Unitarian Universalists, seek. There is room for a holy why, a questioning that leaves space for evaluation and change. Yet we live in a Christian culture that is not as flexible as one could hope. And like a lot of hard topics of our Christian heritage, it is easy to ignore and hide from. We do it here. There are hymns we avoid singing, readings we change the words to, and I have worked in churches where Jesus was brought out twice a year in passing, a nod given that he was an important figure in our culture, but we did not take too seriously. We do ourselves a disservice by passing over our heritage. The Dalai Lama says, "Know your past to know your future." We need to work on healing the wounds from our past religious experiences. Many of you have expressed the pain you have known as you have left or been forced to leave the religion of your birth. Nonetheless, we can be inspired by Bobby Burke from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, the 2018 series on Netflix. He talks openly about the pain he experienced as a youth, kicked out of his family and his church for being gay. I have been so inspired by his willingness to explore with others their hurt, but also his willingness to embrace experiences with practicing Christians and the humor and learning that takes place because he is willing to be open to possibilities. Humor helps. Taking on the responsibility for our own healing is the work of justice-seeking people. The work is never done, but the reward is sweet. Like Tonglen meditation, we don't start with the hard stuff. Don't take on God. We can start with humor, funny books, or poems, or websites, and movies. I recommend Dogma for a good laugh. As a young woman, I watched it over and over again, and I got all the Catholic jokes. Then we move on to harder issues of sin and hell, God, or rejection. Humor can be the grease on the wheel. Humor helps us move into spaces that otherwise would be too hard. We don't have to reject parts of ourselves to be fully human. We can explore the roots of our culture and find the divine funny. Grace can happen when we laugh at what we used to believe and embrace our future beliefs, knowing that when we lead with a faith in love and compassion, we will find ourselves and each other in some very funny narratives. Let's sing our next hymn, Find the Stillness.